Welcome to Movement, Rhythm, and Conversation, the show where we delve into the profound impact of religion, spark provoking conversation, explore the world through an open-minded perspective. I'm your host, Tafari, here to bring you engaging discussions, eye-opening stories, and conversation that pulls no punches, whether it's faith, culture, creativity, or real-life experience. We keep it raw, honest, and unfiltered. Peace and power, family. Before we get started, please take a moment to do something important. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode of Movement, Rhythm, and Conversations with Tafari. Every click, share, and subscriptions help push this movement forward, spreading knowledge, rhythm, and power into our community. Let's rise together. Now, let's get into today's conversation.
Dorothy Butler Gilliam was the first Black female reporter for the Washington Post. She made history when women and minorities weren't included in newsrooms, when white cab drivers would pass her by after noticing the color of her skin.
I knew I couldn't come back and complain about the problems I faced because that would be a perfect excuse not to hire other Black women.
A reporter for 6 decades, she helped shape the national conversation around race. This is Dorothy, and this is her story. At just 23 years old, she landed a job at the Washington Post. In her autobiography, Trailblazer, Gilliam says,
I immediately faced prejudice outside and inside the tension-filled newsroom as one of the only 3 Black journalists and the first African-American woman. You know, even colleagues who would be, reasonably collegial inside the Post, if they saw me on the street, they would pretend they didn't know me. I felt isolated, but my emotional pain was light years removed from the experiences many young Negroes my age were having in the civil rights movement in the South.
It wasn't just her peers either. Gilliam once overheard an editor call Black lives cheap deaths.
I made a mental note that I would someday find a way to fight against such arrogance, ignorance, and white supremacy. And later, as editor and columnist, I did.
Gilliam would eventually cover what she called one of her most unforgettable assignments, the Black community's response to racial integration at the University of Mississippi. James Meredith had been denied admission to the university because he was Black. In response, he filed a lawsuit along with the NAACP against the university, and that's when everything started. The case went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, which ordered that Meredith be admitted. Gilliam felt like Mississippi.
It was the epitome of all that segregation had represented.
Then Mississippi state officials blocked Meredith's attempts to integrate the school. After violent, deadly protests, federal marshals escorted him into the university. Meredith went on to graduate with a degree in political science. While on assignment in Mississippi, Gilliam faced vicious racism as well. Struggling to find lodging one night, she wound up sleeping in a room at a local Black funeral home.
So I just slept among the dead. It was not pleasant, but I knew it was a clean room and nobody was going to bother me.
But like any dogged reporter, Gilliam stayed on the story, writing, "The Black people I interviewed were shocked and amazed by Meredith's courage and overjoyed by his determination to integrate the university." Years later, the young mom left her post for a while to care for her family. By the early 70s, Gilliam was back with the Post as an editor for the style section.
Then I wrote a column for the Post in the Metro section for about almost 19 years.
After decades of landing big stories, including reporting on Nelson Mandela, this trailblazer is looking ahead to the next generation of young women who started out just like her. She's an icon of inspiration and perseverance. That's Dorothy Butler Gilliam.
Good morning, people of the Unchain Your Mind, Reclaim Your Soul family. I'm your host, Tafari, and we're deep into our 40 Days, 40 Nights Buy Black campaign, a movement reminding us that our dollars are just as powerful as our voice. When we choose to spend with our people, we're not only recycling money in our community, we're reclaiming our narrative, our economics, and our future. And that's the same principle applies to Black journalism. In America, just as we choose to buy from Black-owned businesses, we must also choose to read, watch, and support Black media, because from the very beginning, Black journalism has been our means of survival. It's been our defense against lies. It's been the proof of our humanity in a world that's too often tried to silence us. Today, we're going to explore the story of Black journalism, the pens, the press, the microphones, and the cameras that spoke when nobody else would. From Freedom Journals to Ida B. Wells, from the Chicago Defender to today's digital voices, we'll trace the legacy of how our truth has always found its way to the page and the people. Let's get into it.
Did you know that a strike led to the first news program in America executive produced by a Black person? In June 1968, Black Journal premiered, and it was the first news program for and about the Black community, but it was originally produced by a white man. Just 2 months in, 11 Black staff members went on strike demanding Black leadership. Management eventually relented and appointed William Greaves, a Black filmmaker, as the executive producer. As a result, Black Journal ended up with the most Black production staff at the time, and they even ran a workshop for Black and Latinx filmmakers. Black Journal was one of the first American news programs to feature a Black point of view. They had notable guests such as Angela Davis, Sammy Davis Jr., and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they talked about topics like the Black Panther Party, the African diaspora, and Black beauty standards. The show went on to win Emmy, Peabody, and Russell Awards, and according to film scholar Clyde Taylor, went on to shepherd in a new era of Black cinema.
Journalism has always been more than words on page for African Americans. It's been a means of survival, resistance, empowerment. At its heart, Black journalism in America is the story of a people who refused to be silent, even when the systems around them were designed to erase their voice. From the plantation to the newsroom, from pamphlets to podcasts, Black journalism has carried the torch of truth, often at significant personal risk, so that future generations would know who we are and where we come from. The birth of Black journalism. The roots of Black journalism go back to 1827, when Samuel Cornish and John B. Russwurm founded Freedom Journal, the first African-American owned and operated newspaper in the United States. Its opening statement was bold and uncompromising. We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. That declaration became the foundation of Black media. It wasn't just about reporting. It was about reclaiming identity, correcting lies, and shaping narratives. That counters the stereotype and propaganda of mainstream white-owned press. Journalism as resistance. Throughout the 19th century, newspapers like the North Star, founded by Frederick Douglass, became weapons against slavery and injustice. Douglass used journalism as a tool to inform, inspire, and ignite abolitionist movement across the nation. His words reached beyond Black readers, shaking the conscience of America. In the Jim Crow era, when lynching and segregation ruled the South, Black newspaper became lifelines. Ida B. Wells, one of the most fearless journalism in history, used her pen to expose the brutality of lynching. She faced threats, mobs, violence, and exile, but she never stopped reporting. Wells taught us that journalism wasn't just about telling stories, it was about saving lives. of the black press. By the early 20th century, newspapers such as the Chicago Defender, Pittsburgh Carrier, Amsterdam News had transformed black journalism into a national movement. They didn't just report the news, they mobilized it. The Chicago Defender played a significant role in encouraging the Great Migration, urging black families to leave the South in search of opportunities in the North. The Pittsburgh Carrier fought segregation in the military during World War II with its Double V campaign, victory abroad against fascism and victory at home against racism. These newspapers were more than ink on paper. They were battle cries, challenges, and evolution. As the civil rights movement gained momentum in 1950 and 1960, black journalists reported on stories that mainstream outlets either ignored or distorted. They documented protests, brutality, and the fight for justice, often standing shoulder to shoulder with activists. However, even as television, radio, and eventually the internet expanded, black media faced economic and political hurdles. Mainstream outlets began to hire more black reporters, sometimes to promote integration, other times to co-op, while the independent black press frequently struggled with limited resources. Nevertheless, new voices emerged, from Ebony and Jet magazine shaping culture to radio shows amplifying communities, voices, and television anchors breaking barriers. The spirit of black journalism endured. Black journalism today. Today, the legacy continues in digital spaces, outline platforms, podcasts, YouTube channels, and independent media outlets now carry the tradition of Freedom Journal. Black journalism are not only documenting police brutality, culture, innovation, or political struggles, they are shaping the conversation that moves nations. Podcasts like this one, independent blogs, and grassroots media are the 21st century vision of the underground press. We don't just wait for permission to speak. We create our own microphones, our own stage, and our own narratives. Why black journalism matters. Black journalism matters because truth matters, because history matters, because without it, the story of our people vanished into silence. Mainstream media has always painted us as criminals, caricatures, or statistics. Black journalism insists on our own humanity. It is the heartbeat of a people who refuse to be erased. It is our collective memory. It is our resistance. It's our future. Family, as we reflect on the power of black journalism, let's remember our stories has always been our means of survival, from the first printed page of Freedom Journal to the voices of today's breaking through digital airways. We have always held responsibility of telling our truth when no one else would. But it doesn't stop at history. It's about what we do now. Just like we're committed to the 40 Days, 40 Nights Buy Black campaign, we must also support black media. Buy the paper, stream the podcast, share the articles, invest in the storytelling who carries our voices into the future. Because when we buy black and support black journalism, we declare that our words, our work, and our worth cannot be erased. This is your host, Tafari, and you've been listening to Movement, Rhythm, and Conversation. Remember, unchain your mind, reclaim your soul, stay strong, stay aware, and keep the movement going. If today's conversation spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share with the family. Hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on your notification so you never miss an episode of Movement, Rhythm, and Conversation with Tafari. Together we rise. Unchain your mind, reclaim your soul.